Okay, so it has been about 3 weeks since I last posted for this series, and you may be wondering, girl, where'd you go? Why haven't you posted? Anxiety. Yep, anxiety, overthinking, um, in general, getting in my own way. So let's get into it. This is a very common aspect of my life that I have been fighting and navigating and dealing with for years and years. And it absolutely plays a part in my business and what I'm building. So, yeah, let's talk about how I have gotten out of my own way. I hope y'all been doing well. I very, very much do. I have been doing well for the most part, but as you can see, it's been like 3 weeks and I have not posted until today. And yeah, this series is just about me being honest, a bit unfiltered. I will say to be filtered and to constantly be filtering yourself and trying to be like getting ahead of being perceived and making sure that no one ever perceives you wrong, which is impossible. Shit's exhausting. And I am trying my best not to do that. But what I find is that I don't know how to explain it. It's like a slow creep into it where it's almost like tensing your shoulders and you don't even realize it's tensed. Or like when you are flying flying somewhere and you have to like every so often pop your ears and you don't even really notice that the pressure's building up in there until you're like, whoa, what the hell? My ears hurt. Um, so yeah, that is basically the point that I got to. Um, and this is a frequent thing in my life. I go to therapy. I have practices and things that I do to combat it, but inevitably, there usually tends to be like almost like a boiling point where, or a build-up point where I look up and I'm like, I feel very much not aligned. I feel very not inspired. I feel internally blocked. I think that's probably the best way to say it or to put it. Internal blockage. And usually I know that I'm there when I'm feeling like heavily insecure about doing anything, saying anything, posting anything. I'm like constantly overthinking. And if I do share something or show up in some way after the fact, it's like mental torture because I'm nitpicking every single thing that I did and said and moved and everything. And yeah, eventually I realized that it's been like a couple of weeks and I haven't gone or done as much as I wanted or gotten as much done. And even like beyond just like getting as much done as I want to, like, I don't know if it's for like if this is like the same way for other people, but for me, so much of my life force is through like creative energy. And I noticed that even just making things, just drawing, just writing for fun, just those things don't become fun anymore. And I literally just struggle to focus on what it is that I want to enjoy doing. Um, and so yeah, that's like usually the pentacle of getting in my own way. Um, and I think some of it is probably a nurture thing where it's like, um, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like a nurture thing where it's like, I'm used to, whether it's based off of like how I grew up or, being bullied in middle school or, I think that we collect all of this information from our environment and we find little ways and tools to be able to survive in the like world that we're in. And sometimes the tools work really well and they work really well to get us to a certain point. But then inevitably, there always becomes a point where the tools that you used don't work for the next phase or the next chapter or the way that you want to move in the world in this, like, the next thing. And so I think part of it, like I said, is a nurture thing. Some of it I do wonder and believe that it's like a nature thing. Like my, I'm open. Anxiety thing is a thing for me. You know, Sometimes I struggle to focus and like forgetfulness, things like that. And I think there's like an element of nature. And so I find that me coping with it looks like therapy, looks like slowing down, like really consciously slowing down. It looks like putting both feet on the ground, relaxing my shoulders, relaxing my jaw, like really just trying to release some of that physical pressure. And so, yeah, I am trying my best, but over the weekend, and a little bit starting, I guess, last week, I was I don't know. It just feels like being like just stifled. So over the weekend, I did a lot of thinking, I did a lot of reflecting, I did a lot of writing, I did some reading. Actually, I didn't really physically read. I listened to an audiobook. Specifically this audiobook called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud. And part of it is talking about, obviously, when to end things, how to end things. But a big part of it that I gathered from it was about boundaries, setting boundaries with other people. But then I even took it a step further about setting boundaries with yourself. Um, and so, yeah, I've been thinking about that. And I think really the overall thing that I've been kind of gathering from this, like piecing together, is I have a very clear vision for what I want my dream life to be. And to be quite honest, my dream life is not necessarily being wealthy or, flashy, anything like that. I think the things I actually really, really want are like some of the most simple things, like having a garden or having my time back so that I can spend time with the people that I love, doing the things that I love, and giving back in the ways that really use my skill set and just feel really fulfilling. Um, but I realized over this weekend that one thing that I really struggle with is in pursuit of my dream life, there's an element of me that realizes that I'm living it now. Like the person that I am now, the things that I get to do now, like being able to work for myself now, like 5 years ago, like that person would have only dreamed. And even when I was in college, that if that person back then knew that I'm living the life that I get to live now, she'd be like, whoa, like that's amazing. But it's something that I struggle with is I don't always recognize that there are elements of that dream life, that slow, intentional life that I'm living now. Instead, what I do is I just say, oh, okay, yeah, I got this stuff going on now. That's great. That's great. That's great. But like, I'm working towards the future. I don't have time to like really enjoy this stuff right now because I can't allow myself to enjoy because I haven't really had that full vision yet. Um, and the question that I've been asking myself is, am I allowed to exist even if I'm not producing anything? Um, and also, can I allow myself to enjoy the life that I have right now, knowing that the present day moments that I am currently living are the culmination of the life that I say that I want to live? So really allowing myself to actually sit and enjoy what I have now and be really, really grateful for it. And like, yes, know that, okay, I want to build this company. I want to be able to say travel more freely. I'd like to have a family in the future. Um, but like my life right now is incredibly sweet and it's wonderful. Sorry, phone call. What was I saying? Questions? Yes. I don't quite remember. I guess I'll remember when I go to edit this video. Anyway, so those are things that I'm thinking about. Really living in the life that I have right now. Considering, okay, what are the internal shifts that I need to be practicing and living into right now to be able to hold the capacity for what is that I want in the future. Um, and so yeah, some of those things are enoughness, like being able to be okay with not being okay with the idea that I can celebrate my success and that my success does not have to necessarily hinge on me working myself to exhaustion. And that also I can have good things happen and I can sit and enjoy them in those moments and not automatically be kind of sowing in doubt, like, oh, that was just luck, or oh, I can't really celebrate that because I've got these other things to do. Those types of things. And also, some other things that I've been doing is creating a flexible schedule work structure that basically allows me to do the work. And one thing that I'm working on is not, this is the boundary with myself, is not overworking, not saying, oh, just this one more thing, or oh, I can't really rest because I didn't get to do these other things. Or if my day gets derailed, then feeling like, okay, that took up 3 hours that I didn't expect. I'm going to tack on those 3 hours into late at night. I talked about this in like earlier videos that I said that I really wanted to work 4 to 5 hours a day. um, Gonna be completely honest, have not really done that in the last couple of months, and I think that that has probably contributed to me feeling stifled because I'm not, if I'm doing work, which is great, work is doing great, and I'm doing, I'm excited and love doing work, but if I'm doing it, I also have to acknowledge that by taking time from the things that I love doing, like hobbies and time with family, by doing work, I'm basically taking away time from other things. And that's not to say that work is bad, but if I can't right now be okay with, I did enough for today. Yes, I have more to do tomorrow or more to do, and I can do that tomorrow, and that's fine. Or my day got derailed, but like that's fine. I got enough. Like what I did today was enough. If I cannot fully accept and embody that what I did today was enough, I will constantly, like I will constantly just be working, working, working. And I'm really, really trying hard not to do that. What I really would love to do is to have a life where I get to work and that can be fulfilling and enjoyable and fruitful. And also at the same time, have just as much time to deeply, deeply enjoy the rest of my life. Um, in terms of boundaries, because again, boundaries with self and with other people is very important, so that you don't have like leaks in your time. What I've been asking myself is, let me take a step back. One thing that I really struggle with is guilt for when I say no sometimes, or feeling like I can't necessarily say no to that because, I think it's basically coming down to taking responsibility for other people's reactions. And so one of the questions that I now will be asking myself to check in is, does this thing, does it create more clarity, energy, and depth in my life? Does doing this thing create more, and holding on to this thing, honestly, does creating this thing, holding on to this thing create more clarity, energy, and depth in my life? And if the answer is no, then it's got to go. I did not mean to rhyme, but that actually works really well. If the answer is no, it's got to go. And so yeah, that is very much something that I'm carrying with me. Um, you can tell I did a lot of thinking over the weekend. I think that book, Necessary Endings, absolutely has changed my life and the way that I view myself, my relationship with other people, and the boundaries that I set. Like, so thankful for my therapist recommending that. Um, the other thing, too, is in addition to dream life and anxiety and overthinking all the things, is I turned 33 this year. And when I turned 33, I've never really done this before, but I thought about like, what did I want to really work on this whole year? Um, and I told myself that I really want to work on creating, organically creating a liberation framework for myself. I think in terms of work, like I get to work for myself, and that's great. That's like a form of liberation. But I think the other another form of liberation um is emotional and psychological liberation. And that goes back to, am I enough? Am I worthy, even if I'm not producing, even if I'm not being of service to other people? If I can I just belong to myself? Can I show up and allow myself to be visible and to be seen and to be perceived and all of these things, and be steady and okay with that? Um, because I'm so firm within myself. Um, yeah. The other things are like with that is, I'm just really working through the anxiety, the overthinking. And I think a lot of that has to do with fear of perception. And this video series has been a very huge help. It was actually a challenge, like a challenge that I chose to take for myself because I wanted to work on this fear of visibility. Again, I think some of this is nature and nurture, like maybe epigenetics, but also, life experiences. Um, for me, I have always felt like to be seen is to not be safe. To share your feelings and your real thoughts and to not be filtered or perfect, um, and to be okay with not being understood is not safe. Um, and again, like I said at the beginning, that is very exhausting. It's a very exhausting way to live. And the way that I want to build out Reverb and Root and the way that I want to live out my life is one in which I am just myself. I am not focused on being perfect. I'm focused on being impactful and focused on really embodying the wisdom and the knowledge and um, joy and all of the things instead of thinking about it so much, but actually just letting it soak in. Um, and that has been a constant practice. I mean, the person that I was when I was 23 to today, there's some aspects that are very much the same, but the level of confidence that I have in myself and my abilities is so unmatched to the person that I was when I was 23. But there's still ways that I can grow and need to grow and want to grow, especially because I'm literally building a company that's telling Black, Indigenous women and femmes of color that they are safe enough to show up as themselves and that they should trust their ideas and trust themselves and believe in their dreams and share their stories because it quite literally is liberating in itself to do such a thing. And it sets an example not only for themselves, but also for future generations. And it creates permission that no one really needs, but that we all can look at and see and receive for ourselves. Um, I cannot effectively do that fully 100,000% if I myself am not doing the same, if I'm not stepping out and sharing myself fully um and all of those things. And so to some extent, I think that no matter what, um, I will likely always be, I mean, I'll always be stepping more fully into myself and fully stepping out more and more with my ideas and my dreams because I'll always have new ideas and dreams. I mean, I think those things are living, so they will always evolve. In some way, I think that Reverb and Root is for the person that I was 10 years ago. I remember 10 years ago, I basically felt like I was in design school, graphic design, and I was graduating, and everyone usually goes to work for a design agency, and I intuitively knew that wasn't for me. And so I felt like I did not have a paved path. And for the longest, I thought that my unconventionality was a glitch when really it was a feature. I really appreciate the ideas that I have and the way that I think and the way that I connect things, and I'm really thankful for 23-year-old me and 24 and 25 and like all of my past selves for making the decisions to not follow traditional paths because it got me here. And so yeah, I feel like maybe I'm just on a tangent. I don't think so, but we'll circle back. It'll come full circle. Um, yeah, so those are all things I'm thinking of. And so with all of that, I'm thinking of, I'm not necessarily revamping or anything, but I am going back and I'm looking at, okay, the website. Does it fully show, you know, does it fully show who I am and why I do this? I think in a lot of ways, Reverb and Root, the website itself shows what like what the company is for and what it does, but the why of it. Um, Maybe that part's a little bit missing. Why does Dreamlab exist? I think I've done a better job of like, why does the archive exist? Those things. But um, even still, then I talk about why it exists, but I remove myself a little bit from it. I've realized that over the weekend that to some extent, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. There have been a lot of times in my life where I have in some way figured out or believed, allowed myself to believe that if I remove distance myself a little bit from the thing that I'm creating, well, this could be paintings, drawings, all these, like if I distance myself from a little bit from it, if that thing fails, then that means that I didn't fail. Um, and so, or if I hold it too close and then that means that if this thing fails, then I failed. And so, again, I've talked about this in other videos, like going back to being able to say, this is my idea, this is my company, this is my thing, this is my drawing, this is my art, this is my whatever, but this thing is not me. And so, I think all of those things, forgetting those things, those truths, is at least with from the business side of my life a part of why my anxiety creeps up when it comes to it, or why I struggle to with overthinking. And I don't know if this will be interesting to anybody. I'm assuming that if you've gotten to this point in the video, then there must be something that's interesting about it. But I I just want to live a life where I can build something and live in such a way where who I am and what that thing is are separate, but where there are clear elements of myself in the work too. Like my thumbprint, my unique perspective and philosophy and approach is more and more evident and clear in the work. And so yeah, that's about it. As far as what's been going on with Reverb Root, I have been focused very heavily on the archive, and promoting that and thinking of new ways to expand it. And I'm working on something. I'm not going to share more about it, but I am working on something like another way of being able to show the stories and the ways that they're all interconnected. So at some point, whenever it's ready, I will let y'all know. Um, and then Dreamlab is very, very slow going. Not gonna lie, it's very slow going. I think part of it might be, I wonder if part of it is that I haven't promoted it enough. I think that's like a major, major, major part of it. And again, that goes back into fear of visibility and perception. And the truth is, I really, really, really feel deeply about Dreamlab and just my work in general. And the framework that I've created has quite literally been through personal experience, because of personal experience. Um, Me basically having not been 23 and having not seen a paved road that works for me or that I feel like is for me. And instead, I'm looking at a forest with a machete and having to clear my own path. And so I think that that's really a lot of the work of Dream Lab. It is that it is something for those who know that the paths that are paved are not for them, and that inevitably they will have to have the courage to pave their own, to clear out their own path, to invite others on it. And so, yeah, those two things. Basically that's it. I've been trying to balance that and take time to sit outside now that it's not cold and before it gets too crazily hot. And so yeah, just living my life. But that is how I've been getting out of my own way. Those are the things that I have absolutely realized, reminded myself of, and discovered, and constantly evolving. And yeah. So if you are someone and you're in your own way, it's okay to look up, come up for air, and really figure out what exactly it is that you need for yourself to get going, to feel peace, to feel happiness, to allow yourself to. Um, and it's okay. It's all an evolution and a journey. So that's it. Till next week. And there will be a next week because I've gotten out of my own way. Bye.